Hello there, and welcome to Oldfield Forge Forging Basics. Today's lesson, formers. Today I will be showing you two separate lessons on how to make formers, one from a round pipe, the other from solid bar. Each have their own advantages, but sometimes it simply comes down to what you have available. We will start with the pipe former. You will need a saw, or a way of cutting the pipe, as well as a specific hammer known as a crossplane. You can use whatever size pipe your projects require for this. Before we begin, allow me to run through a couple of risks. First, make sure your pipe is not galvanized. I know of a few smiths who have used scaffolding for a former or two, and they are almost always galvanized, so make sure there is no coating on your steel before proceeding. Secondly, you may have noticed the direction that the pipe points when it's being heated, and the smoke coming out of the end. As we essentially have a tunnel for heat and debris to escape the fire, it is at least something that shouldn't aim at yourself. This is doubly true should you quench it. While I'm heating the pipe, I make sure to rotate it, as a hollow pipe won't heat through the center like a solid bar would. Upon removing it from the fire, I hold my crosspeen in line with the pipe as centrally as I can, and give it a few firm strikes before rolling the bar as close to 90 degrees as possible. This will start out as a square and move into sort of a rounded X shape. This will get thinner and thinner. How thin is your choice, and should depend on what you have to hold it. Some of us are lucky enough to have hardy holes in our anvil. Others have swage blocks, leg vices, or logs with holes bored out of them. When you can, fit the back end of your former into its resting place. It is then time to cut it off. This doesn't strictly require quenching, but should you feel the burning desire for that sweet, sweet hissing sound, then, for your own safety, then make sure you aim the back end of the pipe away from your body, other people's bodies, or anything you don't think should be boiling point baptized at range. I specifically chose a long pipe for this reason, as it dulls the effect of the spicy Bosch water cannon. When all cold, cut with a disc or hacksaw so as not to dent the sides of your former and keep its shape. A surprisingly easy and incredibly useful project for anyone rounding off more than one item. Next up, a solid bar former. Now a solid bar former has a few more possibilities. For this one I've taken 25mm round stock, and while I could simply square it off to fit a hole smaller than it is, I'm going to instead make it into a stump former that can be hammered into a log as well. Should you not be as well equipped as those fancy YouTube blacksmiths with their hardy hole anvils and fancy aprons. A simple start, get an inch or so horizontal over the corner of the anvil and strike directly onto the corner of the anvil, giving that sudden dent on the side. After a couple of slow, accurate strikes, roll the bar 90 degrees and repeat this process. Continue with this process until about halfway through. This is a nice simple process, and all you need to do is continue to heat and taper your spike with your hammer leaning ever so slightly away from you and keeping the metal level with the anvil. Now I have been asked a few times what to do if the metal becomes too hot to hold, and this can become a problem. I tend to use larger bars in these videos, as it's generally easier, and tongs can get in the way of what I'm filming. Many people suggest tongs, or, God forbid, gloves. But there's a much easier solution to keeping your working end hot while stopping the end you're holding from getting too hot to touch. Here's the secret Big Tong doesn't want you to know. Continue with your really cool bar and work the taper in your bar to a nice sharp point. Make sure it's straight. This is a nice versatile former, and it can be used in leg vices, hammered into stumps, and slotted into hardy holes, although sometimes you may need to check how big your hardy hole is before you make it. You should now have an idea of how to turn simple bar and pipe steel into formers for more uniform shape forming over multiple projects. Tune in for our next lesson where I'll show you another useful project using one of these formers. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Feel free to subscribe to see more, or comment below on what you'd like to see next. You can also get in contact at oldfieldvideo@gmail.com. Although, if you're emailing just as this video comes out, you may have to be patient, as we are judging the fantastic entries that have just been sent in for our sword making competition. If you've entered, good luck, and we'll see you all next time.